have some fun. So I should be live right now on YouTube. So hello, YouTube. I know, Aiden, you are there. And it's good to see you, Aiden. If you're also here on YouTube, I'd love to know that you're live and you're watching and I can see your comments. So definitely let me know your name, because everybody on YouTube usually has a weird damn name and I always have to read out that name if you leave a comment, and sometimes it's embarrassing. Don't want that happening today. So just leave your name, maybe tell me where you are and what time it is right now. I'm going to be here to possibly set a record of how quickly I can show you how to build a course on how to build a podcast, where you should learn how to build a podcast, should learn how to build a course, and maybe even learn on how to do a live stream. And so first thing I'd want to do is just kind of show you what's going to be happening behind the scenes. We're going to learn all three a bit at the same time. And of course, I'm also going live on Instagram. So the Instagram people, if you're watching me, the real deal is happening here on YouTube. So I want to show the YouTube people what's going on here. So if you are on the YouTube, then you'll get a chance to see what's going on here. So I see I need to mute this so there's not going to be any feedback, but this is what's going on YouTube. It looks much better than what's going on Instagram. So go on my bio, you'll see that. Oops, here we go. Switch this around. Boop. There we go. Go to the link in my bio, go to the YouTube. This is where it's happening. And so we got Sue Raid here in Devon, UK, and it's 1 p.m. A few people here in England. We got Oxford. Christopher, good to see you. Satya in India, 6:30 p.m. I like that. We also have Ashwin here. And Aiden is in Buckingham. So we have a few of you that are out here from the UK. So you guys may want to see if you can connect with proper social distancing. I don't know what's happening in the UK, but that's awesome to see. We got Ashley here as well in Whitestable in the UK. Wow, so many people here from the UK. I'm really glad. And Fatim is in Iran, 4:30 p.m. Welcome to the session. I'm drinking my sparkling water. This is going to be my motivation to keep going for the extra hour. I shouldn't waste time. We have a lot of things to cover, right? Well, the first thing I want to cover is actually a bit of the architecture of what's going on. So if you're here, you're on YouTube, you're wondering, how am I speaking to you on YouTube? It's very simple. I'm using what is the live streaming function on YouTube. I'm going to be able to show you this very, very fast. So first thing I'm going to do is just show you what's going on behind the scenes. I should probably open a new tab for this. So if you are on YouTube, let's see how this looks. You go to YouTube, and if you want to go live, you can actually just click on this create button and say go live. Now you probably can't see this because my camera's in the way, so I'm just going to move this right here. Oops. There's a button right here. All right, and you see it says go live. So if you see that, you can click on that. I'm going to bring this back. And then it'll take you right to the studio where you can create live. Now, it was funny because as I was doing this on Instagram earlier, I was showing people how to do it, but you got to click on manage. And then here you can schedule a stream. And here's what was interesting. It took me like 2 clicks to create this stream that you're watching now. If I want to create a new one, I just click schedule stream. I give it a title, give it a description, and I set a time. I upload a thumbnail. I say it's not made for kids so I can have some comments coming in. And there you have it. Then you're ready to stream a YouTube, but it always asks you for these stream keys, and it seems really complicated. Like if I show you behind the scenes here, like I can see the videos playing live. I can see how many people are here. We have 6 people. We have 13 of you watching. We've been here watching for about 1:34 seconds. So thank you for helping these metrics, dear watchers. And I could see your live stream. And when I looked at this setting, I was like, oh my God, what is this stream URL, backup URL, all that stuff? It looked pretty complicated, but it's not that complicated at all. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you the screen that I have on a separate monitor here. So have a look here. Now this is actually not fully aligned, so I'm going to put it right here. See what happens, I'm using this software called Stream OBS. Okay, this is what allows me to move this around. I can put what's on screen. I can show what's capturing my camera. I can adjust the size of that. Obviously, I hit this because you're going to like infinite when you're seeing the screen, looking at the screen, looking at the screen. So I put my picture instead. But this system is really absolutely cool. So you get to see what's going on here, but I can't change these settings because I'm actually on the setting to show you the settings. But what happened is I only clicked on login with my YouTube username, and I could already see the live stream I had set up. I had one button to click, and I was live with everyone. So that was a very quick one. So right here, I've already showed you a bit on how you can actually go live pretty quickly using this software. It's called Streamlab OBS. Let me show you again a bit of what that looks like. I have the tab here open. Let's see. So it's called Streamlab OBS. You basically download it. I have a MacBook, so it works well with Mac, works well with PC. You download it. It's free to do one live stream, and you can have fun. I'm seeing we have a few more people that have joined in. We got JV here from the Philippines, 9 p.m. So same time for me as 9 p.m. as well. We got Austria, Bernadette, glad to see you. Olivia in Quebec. Salut Olivia, c'est sûr que vous parlez français, c'est le fun de vous voir. We got Bojan here from Skopje in Macedonia, 2 p.m. So glad to see various people. I hope you're all like settled in, and the best part is you're all going to see the replay. And really what I got inspired is I wanted to be able to create this in an efficient way, a fun way, and a way that could get me to interact with all of you and answer your questions. And that's going to be the most fun. If you have questions throughout the process, make sure you ask them, because you're going to realize I'm going to do this way faster than 1 hour. And to answer one of the quick questions that just came in, Jay was asking how many monitors do I have? That would be one. One monitor plus the monitor of my current MacBook. So just one extra monitor allows me to see things on the side as well as see everything here. Now, I know I have some people as well that are on the Instagram. If you are on Instagram, you're going to want to go to the link in my bio. This is where you're going to be able to find the link to YouTube. That's where you're going to want to come and see the real live stream that's happening here. So with that, this is how you initiate the live stream. I was able to create different scenes, be able to show you some different things like, oh, look, you can see my face. Then I can say, oh, look, let's add my handle for Instagram. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, this is a brand new channel, you're going to want to hit the subscribe button. You're also going to want to hit the notification bells, because I think there's one thing I'm going to start doing is going live on this channel and teaching some really cool things that I get to figure out really quickly. I think that's my gift, is like I'll play with technology pretty quickly and I'll be able to explain it very thoroughly. So anybody that wants to learn and not have that hesitation that usually comes with learning something new will be able to do it quickly. Of course, I can see there's a lot of comments coming in on this place. So if you are leaving a comments, I should be able to see them here. But for some reason, I don't see comments. But this is one of the things I was just trying to test. So not going to work today. We're not going to see titles on screen. You're only going to see it whenever. Oh, thank you, Ashley, for subscribing. I just saw that. That is perfect. I appreciate that. What I'd want to do now is kind of dive into the subject. So two things I'm going to do is really going to go behind the scenes, show you as I'm doing it. And quite frankly, I'm figuring it out at the same time as you, because as I worked at Mind Valley, a lot of the things that I do, such as hosting podcasts, publishing courses, a whole team behind the scene does all the nuts and bolts to make it really, really high quality. And a lot of people that want to be able to get started get stuck. And here's the one thing I'd want to teach for anybody who's watching, either because you want to build a course or because you want to start a podcast, is perfection is going to be the key to your hesitation. If you're striving for perfection and it's preventing you from doing anything, that's really a big problem. So what I aim to do is at least show you the things that will get out of the way that you think are stopping you from creating a course or creating a podcast, but you're quickly going to realize that is not what is stopping you. There's other things that are in the way, and that's where we're going to spend most of our hour together. So let's get started with the first thing is, if you're going to be doing a course on teaching people how to do a podcast, one of the first episodes you're going to need to record is showing people how to set themselves up to publish a podcast. A lot of people are thinking, wow, to do a podcast, it seems complicated. There's Apple, there's Spotify, there's Google. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to teach the first video that's going to be part of the course, and I'm just going to export it from this live video. So I'm actually recording the course. So I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to record a first video for the course, and then you'll see we'll be able to discuss behind the scenes. So if you're here on YouTube, this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a 5-minute video, which is the first video of the course on how to build a podcast, which is going to teach people exactly how to publish their first episode. So with that, let's get started. Hi, everybody. This is Jason Mark Campbell. Welcome to this course on how to build a podcast. And, you'd really want to pay attention to this space. If you're here, you've heard about podcasts, you might be listening to a podcast yourself, and maybe you've been wanting to create one for yourself. You might be hesitating, wondering where you should start. How do you start? There's the Apple, the Spotify, the Google. Where do you get started? You see all these amazing podcasts. It seems like there's a great reason why you should create one, but you just can't figure out the nuts and bolts. Well, in this first episode, we're going to get away with all the technical things that you think might be holding you back from publishing your very first podcast, and you're going to realize that we're going to go beyond the surface of what is making you stop and realize there are deeper issues to deal with. But let's deal with what's on your head. How do you publish a podcast? How do you produce it? How do you get started? These answers are going to come to you very, very quickly. But before that, let's talk about the why. Why should you even launch a podcast? Well, if you've ever been on any social media platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, how much time do you spend listening to a video? I mean, as you're scrolling through, how much of your attention is being captured from each of these social media platforms? We are in a battle for attention today. If you looked at one of my past episodes I would have done on Superhumans at Work with Alex Mandosian, he talks about the AIDA model of sales and marketing, which is A, attention, I, interest, D, desire, and A, action. And in the traditional marketing world, you'd want to spend about equal energy on all of these aspects. But today, everybody's competing for the first letter, A, attention. We are in an attention economy. Everybody's fighting for attention. Now, what could you do if you had a platform that allowed you to capture the attention for people than more than 10 seconds? Even on YouTube, most people drop off on videos quite quickly. And here we have podcasts. Podcasts are very interesting because the way people consume them is very intentional. You'll be listening to them maybe while you're at the gym, while you're on a drive, and you're looking for a specific outcome, whether you're being entertained, educated, or educated or edutainment. There's a mix of the two that you can have as well. Most people listen to podcasts for a very long time and build a very close relationship with the host, the channel itself, and it becomes a medium that really captures people's attention. There's a lot more listeners than creators on the space because most people hesitate to create, but not you. You're here on this course to realize that you can take advantage of this attention through podcasts. You can share your message and you can build your tribe at the same time. Now, how exactly do we do this? You would think this entire course would spend its time to just teach you that, but I'm going to show you in a few clicks that we're going to get this done extremely fast. Are you ready? You're going to follow this step and you'll be able to publish your very first episode right alongside with me. So I'm going to share my screen here and show you the one platform you're going to want to pay attention to. It is called Anchor. Anchor is a godsend. It is the easiest platform for you to publish, syndicate, get everything done, even record your very first podcast. The moment you sign up, you'll be taken into a space where you can actually have a dashboard and record episodes. And over here, I've created my very first episode just moments before recording this. Now, how do you record an episode? You click on New Episode. It allows you to record it. You can record it. You can pull from your library that you might have recorded it separately. Maybe you're planning to record it on QuickTime where it can use your audio to record. Maybe you've used a platform that is external, such as Squadcast, or maybe you're just taking a Zoom meeting that you wanted to use to record the podcast episode. I want to keep it simple for your very first because this is the big thing I want to remove. It's the barriers that actually create the hesitation for you to get started. If recording a podcast was the biggest thing hesitating you from starting, here you can click record and just start recording from the microphone you have now. For example, I can hit the record right now. And as it starts recording, I can say, welcome everybody to the podcast. I'll be sharing some amazing insights throughout these episodes because this is going to be a podcast about how to do incredible things in very short amount of time. I'm going to find a new aspect, whether it's marketing related, productivity related, or any other medium that most people are looking to implement in their lives as a solopreneur, freelancer, or even in their everyday career in a fast and efficient way. Now, right there, I have recorded some sound that I can use. It will automatically process, render it, and you can even add a jingle into it. Now, there was a really cool function here called messages, and that you could actually share a voice message link. Now, as I actually record this, I'm actually doing a quick YouTube stream for live. I can actually share that link right into the YouTube chat, which allows for people to be able to send in by voice a question they might have, which could be answered in a future episode of this course. Now, in the meantime, what will happen is you can include these messages and answer the questions that people ask you, which is a really good way to get started with content. And then finally, there's this transition button. If you want to have sound effects, etc., that play whenever you have this podcast, this can be included right here. You can drag it for your intro, your outro, and you'll be able to save the episode and you'll instantly have your first podcast episode created. Now, I'm not recording one here because I just did one very quickly right before recording this, and I wanted to show it to everybody. It was called Let's Start a Podcast with Jason Campbell. Now, it asked me to create a cover. They gave me templates on how to create a cover. They gave me the jingles. I can see one person has played it because I just created it. I added a bit of description, and the beauty is you can always change this in the future. So if you were ever hesitating on creating a podcast, you realize that with this, you can get started so quickly by just giving it a title, giving it a description, giving it a publishing date. It's part of season number 1, episode 1. I can change the art later. It is a full episode. And I can update the episode, and it is done. Now, what is awesome is that it can actually take care of publishing it too. So once I'm finishing up, it asks me, what's the podcast name? Jason Mark Campbell Show. I hear my ideas. and I can continue. And once I do that, I can click yes, distribute my podcast. And there you have it. The podcast gets shared to every major channel when it comes to syndicating your podcast. Now, I once said that I would be able to teach people how to do this within an hour, but as you notice, it took about 5 minutes to show you how to publish, record a podcast, and have it distributed everywhere else. This podcast is now live, and if you are interested in creating a podcast, and this is what was stopping you, I've just been able to show you how to do it in extremely fast speed. Oh, and I forgot one thing. Using Anchor is completely free. So you don't even have a cost issue stopping you from recording your very first episode. So now that you know this, what is stopping you from creating a podcast? Well, there's a few more things that get in the way, and this is exactly where we're going to spend most of our time in this course, because there are doubts in your mind, there are fears in your minds, and there are priorities in your mind. And if you have doubts that are stopping you from putting your energy into it, if there are fears that are stopping you from recording yourself and making this happen, or if you have other priorities that are in the way that you think are not as important or are much more important than doing the podcast, then you're going to do those first and not create the podcast. But my hopes is to eliminate those doubts, eliminate those fears, and make you have clarity in realizing that it is a high priority and you can do very successful things with a podcast of your own. This was Jason Mark Campbell. Thanks for listening, and tomorrow we'll be going deeper into the topic of podcasts. So hey everybody on the YouTube channel, there you have it. This is going to be the first episode of that course, because if you want to create a course, you're going to need some video content. And so I'm very lazy, as you can see. I just use this YouTube live moment to be able to record the first episode, but I'd love to know what you think. I don't know if all of you had some hesitations on creating a podcast, and I will speak very quickly to my fans here on Instagram. If you are watching this on Instagram right now, you're going to want to go to my bio. There's a link there that gives you the link to the YouTube channel where I'm actually live streaming. We have a lot more cool things that are happening here. So you're going to want to leave the live stream on Instagram, come to YouTube and chat with everybody else. I'm hearing some comments here saying, yes, that's fantastic, from Amira. Aiden saying, wow, that was awesome. Good job. That was a really great to watch. Well, I'm glad I hope you learned that making a podcast is so damn easy, right? And then Rosanna saying that was brilliant. Bernadette saying super easy. Isn't it awesome to realize how easy it is? Like, it was funny. I was actually a little scared to do this training because, as I mentioned earlier, I've never done this part. I've only just recorded the episode, throw them in a Dropbox folder, and then the team would take care of it. Now I realize this is really easy and it's a lot of fun. But of course, there's a lot more you can do beyond that, right? So, and Jay was asking, did you just spill your line spontaneously? Yeah, that was, well, okay. When it comes to speaking live or doing trainings, obviously I have some experience. And, you know, most people would think, wow, Jason, you've been on camera, you do this so effortlessly. No, this was practice, guys. Like, I used to be the kid when I was in high school and in college that would turn, like, look how pale I am. Could you imagine when this person gets shy, how bright pink I would turn, like a lobster? And I would be super shy to speak in front of class. I would stutter, I would feel embarrassed, and speaking in front of a camera can sometimes be even harder. But when you practice and you realize how important it is, and you realize that you want to overcome that fear so you can do it, you start doing it more often. And, you know, doing these live streams like this is a great way to get more comfortable in front of the camera. Sometimes you can just do it on Instagram. It's much easier to just turn the camera, go live, and share some thoughts. And as you get more comfortable, then you can start doing these a little more spontaneously. So, here Sue was talking about how she was hesitating over which platform to use. Anchor it is then. Quite frankly, I don't see why you would use anything else besides Anchor. I know for Mindvalley we use Libsyn. And Libsyn seems a little more advanced. There's a lot more features that are included in it. But I think for the majority of the people that are looking to launch a podcast, just get started with Anchor. It's free. Already that's a barrier removed. And it seems to have enough functions to make anybody be able to publish. And it sounds awesome. It's great. It's great interface, super easy to use. I really loved it. And so I'm hoping this is going to give you a really great way to get started. And I see here we got Olivia asking a random question, but I'll answer it anyways. Where are you from? I'm from Canada, actually. So French-Canadian here, but I try to hide it with my English accent here. So I know Captivate doesn't have the editing options and is a paid platform. So I haven't heard of Captivate, but quite frankly, I just saw how easy this was. And a lot of times we get paralyzed by trying to make the perfect choice. go and publish episodes. You can change your platform. Once you have hundreds of thousands of downloads and you want to optimize, start thinking about what paid platforms you want to use. But if you haven't started your podcast, quick, easy, delivered action is going to beat optimization every time. Now, I could be wrong on that. Maybe this is not the best, but quite frankly, I've lived my life this way and it's gotten me so many places. Just take bold action with something that you're like, you know what? This is good for now. And when you have something that's good for now, it's really cool for you to get moving forward. So I wish I could spend the next hour going through more of this technology uploading, but it's funny. I really wanted to get that out of the way. And I love how Christopher Reeve says it. Bold action is key for sure. It makes you learn so much more. Like, go and publish 5 episodes and then realize, hey, there's maybe some better things I could do. And then just optimize from there. I used to run a weekly show on YouTube, which was called Online Marketing Weekly. I didn't even publish the first 7 episodes, but I went ahead and recorded them, edited them, watched them, looked how horrible it was, and then I recorded another one because I said I would do one every week. And when it comes to podcast, imagine you can just record one a week, and if it's you speaking alone, then you can just go and sit on a Sunday, and it could be your Sunday thoughts being shared on a podcast, and that could be a lot of fun. Now, I did have a lot more things to teach here. So one thing I wanted to talk about is this is actually how I prepared the podcast course. And this is actually going to step away from podcast creation. It's going to go more into course creation. And this I got inspired by Eric Edmeades. Eric Edmeades, or Eric Edmeades, I always butcher his last name. I'm sorry, Eric. I love you, but I have struggles with your last name. And when we talked about public speaking, there were these 4 questions that most people ask when you do a talk. So this is a model that I use when I prepare my talks. That I use from Eric because I went to his public speaking training. He's awesome. And the 4 questions are the why, the what, the how, and the what if. So whenever people are coming to hear your talk, at first they want to understand, like, why should they be paying attention to your talk? And so when I wanted to record the podcast course, that's basically the 4 questions I started with. This is, by the way, the outline of the podcast course, my super in-depth outline that I prepared for all of you. But it's all I need, really, because these are the 4 big questions you're going to ask. Like, if you haven't started your podcast yet, right, we just addressed the biggest thing that was stopping us from recording the podcast, which, like, wow, we don't know the how, right? The how about recording and publishing right here, like, oops, let me just come here. This section here, okay? So if you see what I just highlighted, these were sections that, like, most people are thinking, wow, I can't do a podcast because I don't know how to record, I don't know how to publish, and I don't know how to upload the first episode. And this is what I wanted to blast out of the water, because you'll realize very quickly that none of that is really what's going to be stopping us. Because if you knew the podcast publishing was the most important thing to do, then you would not hesitate to Google, find the answers to exactly how to do it. This is why even in public speaking, the how is what gets people to tune in to the talk, but it's never the real answer they're looking for. What they're really wondering is the why. Simon Sinek says start with why, but he's got a point. I mean, if this podcast was extremely powerful for you, you knew it was the tool that was going to be getting you the attention that you need, giving you the clients that you wanted, and really pushing you forward in your business and in your personal life, or feeling a personal passion, you'd figure out exactly how to publish that podcast, and it would already be out. So now the question is, what are the fears that are in the way from you wanting to publish a podcast? You know, there's a couple things here that I picked up as the why. I've mentioned it a few in the video, but the biggest thing is this, like, attention is hard to get. Podcasts get massive amounts of attention. I'm fascinated every time I go into the statistics for superhumans at work and see how long people listen to the episodes. They, like, a listener on a podcast is so valuable. They pay attention to every word you say. They tune in every time. They listen to every episode. And so if you don't waste their time, oh my God. Now I'm seeing in the live chat here, people talk about Eric Edamame, and that is funny. No, it is not Eric Edamame. It's Eric Edmeades, guys. Come on. What's going on, you chatters? You're not even paying attention. You're just debating about how to say Eric's name. He was on your podcast and you called him Eric Edamame. Come on now, Ashley. That is hilarious. I kind of find it funny. I'm sorry again, Eric, and you can scold me if I kept butchering your name here. And then I'm seeing some more discussions here. I learned that in Anchor you can pause the recording then continue again. Yeah, that's actually really cool. If you can stop the recording in the middle of it and do some more, that's awesome. For those of you who are on Instagram, you shouldn't be watching this on Instagram. I'm actually on YouTube. You can go in the link in my bio. So go to my profile, see that there's a link. The first one will show you the link to YouTube so you can come join the cool people here that are watching and talking about how to spell Eric Edmead's last name. Not really. They're figuring out how to do the podcast and do the course. And we're got about 25 minutes, 35 minutes left to go. And we're just going into the structure of the course. So come and join us there. It's a lot more fun than what's going on here on Instagram. So YouTubers, let's focus here a little bit. Let's go back into what we are working on. This is course outline, okay? So again, the why is going to be where you're going to want to spend attention. So I don't know if you already have a topic that you want to create a course on, or you have a topic that you want to create a podcast about. But this is where most of us are going to struggle, because when the why is not clear, the what and the how become difficult. They become the fake barriers to what we want to create. And actually, I think this is going to be the second episode of the course on podcasting. So I'm actually going to switch back to teaching mode. And yeah, don't worry, Christopher. We're going to talk about the marketing at the end. And you're right, the marketing ends up being the critical, not just for the podcast, but for life. And that's going to be a bit of the punchline at the end of this course. So let's go into the why is the key. Is going to be the second video in this podcast course. And then I'm going to teach you guys really quickly. So let's do for episode number 2 of the podcasting course, teaching you the curriculum. So, hey everybody, this is Jason Mark Campbell. Welcome again to our second day of learning how to do a podcast. Now, yesterday I showed you everything on how to do the technicalities, like how to find a platform, how to publish it, how to record, and you realize that it's extremely easy. Matter of fact, it is not the barrier that's been stopping you from podcasting, but it's been the excuse that we can give ourselves to get us to walk away and not need to worry about the fact that our podcast isn't out yet. But really the hesitation comes from clarity. And what's that clarity we need? We need to get clear on the why. Simon Sinek speaks about start with why, and this is really what I want to do. I'm going to show you a bit of the curriculum that I'm building when it comes to teaching the podcast course. And when you look at this curriculum, you'll see that whenever you teach something, whether it's about creating a podcast, creating a course, writing a book, or just doing a talk on stage, you want to always start with why. And so as we look here, I want to really show you what the structure of the podcast is. So this is the same way that I structured this course. If you don't know why you're creating a podcast, the what and the how are going to get in the way. These are going to be answers you're going to get, and you can usually find them with a Google search or two. But the why is where you need to do the deep work. This is where you got to really find the reasons as to why you want to do this podcast. Is it a passion? Is it something that you're looking to drive business? Is it something you want to increase revenues with? Maybe it's a place you want to express yourself, connect with influential people. What are the reasons you want to be able to create this podcast? Now, there's a few of them that are very relevant. One of them is that the attention that people get on a podcast is so much higher than anywhere else. If you're doing an interview series, it's such an incredible way to be able to introduce yourselves to other thought leaders in the industry. Matter of fact, if you're someone in the business space, it's a great way to get free coaching, because instead of asking people to coach you, you can actually feature them on your podcast and then listen to their insights and be actually the host that gets supported and coached in the process. If you want to be introduced somewhere, maybe you're looking at what is your way of introducing it. What's your title, right? It's not so powerful if you're saying, oh, I just create YouTube videos. It sounds almost leisurely, but podcasting, being a host of a podcast, there's a lot of prestige to that title. It's almost like being the author of a book, but not quite. Still, when you have a podcast, there's a lot of expertise that can come from that, a lot of authority that can come from that. So maybe that's the reason. Maybe there's a topic you want to speak about. Maybe you have a passion for something that you really feel you want to express to the world. And if you do it through a podcast, it's a beautiful platform to do that. But stacking your whys is going to be really important. So on this day, here's what I'd want you to do. Think about all the reasons why you want to start a podcast. It's a very simple exercise, but it's not necessarily easy. You want to be able to take time to make that list as long as possible. Think of the reasons and continue asking why. Because if the why is not clear, then the first time you're going to hear hesitation, the first time you hit a bump in the road, and every time you go out and create something, there are going to be bumps in the road. If the why is not clear, the road will not clear. You're going to find that the bump is going to take you off the path and you're going to get distracted. You're not going to push through. And here's the fact, most podcasts out there are dead. Most people don't continue with their podcast. There's only a few select shows. There's a big ratio of listeners, but very little creators. because it takes persistence, it takes time, and you're going to want to be able to be someone who is consistent and takes the time to build their podcast, and you will be able to do that if your why is clear. So here's what I ask of you. Take the time to spill out your why, and when you have that, this will be the fuel that will get you going for the next steps, because the why, the how, and the what will be very easy to figure out. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, everybody. So that was day 2, and here, the 5 why is such a great exercise. That's right, Aiden. I mean, every time you ask the why 5 times, you get back and you're like, oh my God, it's always like freedom, or it's like financial freedom, or it's like the freedom to do what I want. It seems to be where it always comes back. Peace, freedom, love, enlightenment. It's always an emotion, right? So, as we're creating this is the course content. So right now we've done 2 videos, right? We've done the one which is like the how, quick, and then we've also done the why. Now, if we go back to the screen share, I want to show this to all of you on YouTube, is the why here. I wanted to actually share a lot of the reasons why a podcast is great, and I shared a few of them. Now the what. So once you've decided that, okay, I'm going to do a podcast, I see that this is a great channel, I'm excited about it, and I want to speak about it. This is where the what is going to be the next video. The what's going to be about, like, how do you find your niche of interest, your interview style? Do you want to do it interview style? Do you want to do solo content? This is going to be really, really cool. Yeah, Rosanna, like, this is really what I'm trying to show is like, hey, we shouldn't really have any fear going forward. And let's be honest, are these the greatest videos of all time? No, these are pretty good, but they're not world class. I'm not going to have a video editor creating the edits for all of this. I could, but this is going to be a free podcast course that I'm giving out for people. And I think they're informative. I think they're great. I think all the bells and whistles are sometimes overrated, because if you're concise on delivery, you're quick. I mean, I think that's what most people want. They want relevant, quick, timely information. So there we go. If you have any questions, by the way, this is a good time to ask. And for you 20 viewers, I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed yet and hit that bell, we might have some more videos like this. First off, I'd say I'm enjoying this. It's getting some great content being created. I get to interact with you, which is really fun, especially if you're asking questions and I can answer them. That'll make it super awesome. So Sarah's asking, one of my fears is what to include in my episodes to help my listeners most. Another one is how to put songs and stuff on each episode. Sarah. Okay, Anchor does that. Okay, so here I have to, I'm going to show you. I'm on this Stream OBS, right? But I need to be able to add that you listen to my computer. I have to ask anybody, can you? No, I think that creates an echo. I want to be able to share my screen, but also share the sound of my screen. So I think let's, audio input capture. Let's see, video output capture. Aha, I think I can capture the audio from my computer. No, it doesn't look like it. Not today. Oh, so see, this is the little mistakes I get to make when I'm live. Nope, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But on Anchor, this is the greatest thing. Like, take a moment if you're bored and listen to my little episode that I did. So I'm going to, let me see. I'm going to go to the screen so you can see the screen share here. I'm going to go to the live stream. I'm going to post this in. Remember I showed in the video how I created the first episode? I just posted the link to my first podcast. I encourage you to go listen to it. It's 46 seconds, okay? And Anchor allowed me to add a little song in the background. So Sarah, when it comes to putting songs in and stuff on each episode, Anchor gives you a bunch of pre-made little jingles, and I put a jingle at the beginning, a jingle at the end, and I mixed in a song that has no royalties in between. It took me 2 minutes. And it was like, wow, this is so good. So Sarah, I highly encourage you to just use Anchor. It's going to make your life easy. And look, this one thing about, putting songs and stuff on each episode, eradicate it. It'll get done for you. Now, when it comes to help my listeners and how do you get, what do you include in your episodes? What content do you cover? It'll depend on what do you decide to have as the niche for the content, right? So let me come back here. this is going to be the next episode, the what, right? So you've actually just nailed it. We talked about the why. It sounds like everybody's here probably excited to publish a podcast because you're still here, and this is what we're talking about. And I'd be curious, like, what do you want to do a podcast about? And if you've gotten clear on the why and you're still here, I'd love to hear from you. Like, what's the kind of podcast you want to release? Do you have a theme? Do you have a topic? Are you curious? Do you have a format in mind? So throw that in the chat, and I'll probably get a chance to cover that in this episode as I see it. One thing I'll do is I'll just say hi again to the Instagram people. If you're here on Instagram, you want to come to YouTube, go to my bio. You'll see there's a link to the YouTube video. When you go there, it's going to be the first link when you click on the Linktree thing. Come to YouTube. We're having fun. We're building a whole course here, and it's going to be awesome. Excuse me, drinking sparkling water makes you burp sometimes. But it keeps you refreshed and energized. So let's see what else. And yes, Aiden, I'm glad you recognize the very multi-purpose content creation approach I'm using. I'm all for efficiency, and so I like this. Let's see. We got, this fills me with confidence for our courses. Mind reader, we can smash out those parts with work ethic like Jason. There you go. So I guess you, Ashley, and Aiden work together, so that is awesome. So why help? So Christopher sharing his why, help humanity elevate. This is powerful. We got mine is called Treasures, and it's a treasure box of conversation between people I love. Its underlying subject is love. Olivia, that sounds awesome. So what I'm going to do then is we'll go right into it. We'll talk about the what. What are the ways you can do the podcast? What are the ways you can record it? What are the styles you can have? And once you make those decisions, I'm also going to talk to you about how you find topics for yourself, okay? So this is going to be really fun. Should be pretty quick, and it's going to be our third video. If you guys are ready, here we go. Hi, everybody. This is Jason Mark Campbell, and welcome to our third video for how to create a podcast. Now, we've already covered the technicalities and got that out of the way very quickly. I didn't want those technicalities to be what stops you from getting started. And second, we got more clear on our why, so I hope you took the time to really get clear on that, because once you're clear on the why, this is the fuel that will keep you going through the end of this course. Today, I want to go more into the what. What is it that you're trying to create, and how do you want that to turn out for you? So there's different ways that you can create podcasts depending on what's the type of topic you want to cover. Now, you might have decided what that passion, that topic is already. I would think you've had some time to think about it, because podcast might not have been the first choice for you, what you were looking for. Maybe you have an interest in business. Maybe you have an interest in personal growth. Maybe you have a passion in storytelling. Maybe you're trying to create stories for children. Like, whatever it is, the passion project that you want to bring forward on a podcast, one thing to keep in mind is that podcast is mostly an auditory experience. And so one of the beauties is that you don't need to put on makeup. You don't need to get yourself ready. As long as you've had maybe a fresh cup of tea so your voice sounds okay, you're ready to record. You can create some content if you're doing things on a solo fashion, and that's perfectly fine. Or maybe you're deciding that you're going to be doing interviews, and that's amazing too. But get clear on exactly what kind of episodes you want to bring out and what are the topics you want to cover. There should be an overlying theme, a title to your podcast series. And of course, here's where I don't want you to overthink it. This name can change. You can always change the name of your podcast. But the biggest thing is just pick a name that you know you can start with. In this case, for the example I'm using for this show, I kept things very simple. I said, let's start a podcast with Jason Mark Campbell as the first episode. And the podcast itself is called The Jason Mark Campbell Show. Very simple. And I said, I'd like to know how easy this was, and you'll learn how to do it too. That was the first episode we published, and that's it. And so I can see here we have some segments of the episode. This was created very quickly using the Anchor tool we covered before, but let's say we're really getting serious here, and we're going to start doing some topics. Now, for me, big thing that I like talking about is usually sales, and Selling with Love is the title of my upcoming book. And so I want to show you a really cool way you can come up with ideas quickly on how to create content for your podcast. Because what you mostly want to do, if you want to keep listeners engaged, I remember I was hearing from a friend called Sarah. Sarah actually was really having some fears about what to include in her episodes to help her listeners the most. And if you're having that kind of fear and hesitation, saying, wow, I don't know what are the questions to answer for these people, there's a brilliant way you can find out. So if sales is my topic, I'm going to go to a website that you might have heard of called Quora. Quora is a website where people just ask questions, right? And it's a beautiful forum for questions. And here I can search Quora for a question, which is selling, or sales training. So I look for sales training, and here's what I find. I'm going to look for questions. So here I see, is the Grant Cardone sales training worth what they charge? Why should we undergo sales training? Right there, you have a title for a potential episode. Should sales training differ for luxury brands? Where can I get great sales training? What are the best sales training organizations? Startup sales training. You can get a bunch of questions here that are exactly the topics you could cover in your podcast. What if I do selling? Now here I feel like maybe some people are going to be trying to sell something. So I don't see here any for that. So what if we do sales? Maybe just sales. I saw sales. So what are the best sales book? That could be a topic. What's the best sales advice I can give? What are the good ways to maximize sales? What's the difference between sales and marketing? You can see here, I could take each and every one of them, how to create a sales funnel, how to be the best salesman, and each of these could be a topic that I cover on the podcast. Now, let's say you are in the topic of, let's see here, about, self-love journeys. I remember speaking to Sylvia G, and she has a podcast she wants to create about, self-love journey and personal development in daily life. So I could write personal growth. And then here I could find some topics about personal growth. So how can I accelerate my personal growth efficiently? What are good characteristics of personal growth? What kind of mindset is required for personal growth? These are amazing places to start. But really, especially when you're doing a podcast which is about your own growth and learning, it's very easy to think about what are the questions you ask and then be able to search online and see how other people are searching for these kinds of questions. This becomes really, really fun at the beginning if you feel stuck on creating your first 5-10 episodes. Now, once you get started, what's going to be really beautiful is you'll be able to interact with your listeners and ask them about the topics they would like for you to cover. So in future episodes, you could always kick off your podcast saying, "Hi, everybody, this is Jason Mark Campbell, and what I'd love to do is hear from you. If you have a question around sales, you'd love to have the answer, you could be featured on the show by simply writing me an email at jason@jasonmarkcampbell.com. And there you go. People will be able to submit their questions and you can feature them in the episode. You can even have dedicated episodes based on the inspirations that they give you. So the what here is really about understanding the topics you can cover. You can start making a list by searching on places like Quora. You can even go on Google and see what are the things that people are searching for within your topic. You can start answering those questions. And when you cover those in a podcast, it's really, really popular. Now, let's say instead you're doing interview series. Well, you can always find the authors that have written the best books around those kinds of topics. You can see anybody online that's speaking about the topic or writing about the topic. You can go on blog posts and you can start asking for people to come on your podcast. Now, because interviews is a very different and very specific type of podcast, I won't cover it much in depth here, but you can always find the people you want to bring on the show that have a fascinating story that they can share. And if you're doing interview style podcasts, it's a lot of fun because the content gets created by your guests and you just get the chance to hold the space to be able to have your listeners know that you create a great experience for them. And that's the value you bring for your podcast. That's how I run my podcast, Superhuman at Work with Mind Valley, and it's a beautiful way to do it. So at this point, you would want to be able to come up with a list of at least 10 episode topics that you'd be able to do for your podcast, knowing that you can find answers on Quora through Google searches or finding people that you'd potentially want to interview. This would be a great place to start. And one thing I would note for those of you who are doing interviews, understand that when you're just getting started, you're maybe not going to get that many listeners. So if you're trying to go for people like Tim Ferriss or you're trying to go for Oprah Winfrey as one of your first guests, it might be a little difficult to reach out to them. It's very simple how you can get started with some local people that you might be already connected to and slowly grow into more and more relevant guests. And another thing I'd want to add is that once you get started, you might not get that many listens at the beginning, which means if you have a fear of publishing, this will be perfect for you to get started because just like an episode that I've published already on Anchor, not a lot of people are going to get a chance to listen to that. So even if it's not perfect, it's out there. And I'm starting the habit. And now that you've made a list of 10 episodes, you're going to have at least content for the next 2.5 months. And that's some great momentum to get you started with your very new podcast. We'll talk more about how are the ways that you can get yourself recorded, making your episodes improve as you go forward. Thanks so much for listening in, and we'll see you next time. All right, everybody, that was the what. And so here we are. We're 45 minutes into this live stream. I'm hoping you guys are having some fun and getting some insights here. I see Sue and Ashley loving the idea of going to Quora, as well as Olivia. So I'm glad you guys like that. And I'm glad I was able to include 2 of your stories into this course. That'll be fun to cut up. and it's going to be a lot of fun. And thank you, Sylvia, for the compliment. As you can tell, I'm a very lazy person. I don't want to come up with all the answers. I don't want to come up with all the questions. I like to find the sources where the answers are already there. And of course, I'm going to do my little break the fourth wall here for those of you on Instagram. If you want to have fun, come and join us here on YouTube. Go to my bio on Instagram. You can actually see there's a link there. The first link is going to give you the link to the YouTube where a lot of us are having fun, and I get to feature people that are chatting on the YouTube in the course that I'm creating right now with everybody. It's a lot of fun, and if you're on Instagram, you just get to see me not move much, and you get a beautiful view of my air conditioner, which is not cool. But on YouTube here, we're having a lot of fun, and it looks awesome. So we got Fatim, who's here, so thanks for the compliment. And yes, Bernadette, I usually like to tell people I'm efficient, but let's be clear, I love my freedom, and if I can do something better with less time and be more awesome, I definitely agree that that's awesome. Like Christopher saying the lazy is the mother of all inventions. Yes, I agree to that too. And so, what do you guys think? Good idea? Bad idea? Having fun? I'm hoping you're having fun. I definitely am, and it's getting this course created too, so it's kind of like a double win. We've covered a bit of the why, we've covered a bit of the what. I'd be curious, what are the things you think we should cover next? I mean, I talked about how to find topics on Quora. I talked about, there's a couple of things I could talk about here. Like making an intro jingle. I'm not too excited about talking about that. There's the whole recording part. Now, this one, I could go into it, but as you've seen, like recording with Anchor was pretty damn simple. I even think that you can invite people to record together, so you can actually do like remote interviews on Anchor. Although I don't use that. Matter of fact, the best tool that I've used how many here want to do interviews? Like if you're starting a podcast, are you doing interviews or are you talking by yourself? I just say self or interview in the chat so I have a better understanding of what people are looking for. All right. This is fun. Marcos has a great question. I think I'll do a little video about that, Marcos, about, he's loving all of this. Thanks for sharing. Meaning to ask, what are the differences between podcast platforms, Spotify, iTunes? This is fun. I'm also going to show you guys some cool stuff. How many here are listening? So we got mixed, we got interview, we got self recording via Zoom. I'm going to show you a cool tool. Now, again, this is going to be one of these advanced. I don't even know if I want to put this in the course because it's kind of too advanced, but let me show you here. This is the dashboard that I use with Mindvalley. Please respect confidentiality. But this is where I see the number of downloads for Superhumans at Work. Okay, so the 30-day downloads, I can see the reach. Now, what I did want to focus on is just showing you, somebody was asking about the platforms, right? And have a look at this last space here, the players. And this is, podcasts are very interesting because there's not a lot of metrics for tracking, but here's one of the things you can track is, what platform are people listening to from. As you can see, 69.7% of all listeners for Superhumans at Work that are trackable actually come from Apple Podcasts. So if you're talking about the different platforms, Apple is still pretty huge. And then I got a 9.2, which is unknown. I feel like that's going to fall under Google Podcast. And you see here, Spotify is 8.2%. Then I'm falling into Podcast Addict, as well as Castbox, then iTunes, which is people that didn't update their computers. Then you got Stitcher, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Podbean, Player.fm. So you can see like it's a pretty fast dropping amount of listeners. So Apple's definitely the number one. Spotify is growing big time. But if you're asking about the difference, it's just people's preference. I think Spotify is getting a lot of growth right now, but Apple is definitely the place you want to rank. Like for me, the biggest thing I want to do is hit the charts on Apple. So if you look here, like I'm trying to rank in careers. And so I'm looking here if there's like some cool jumps that I'm doing. It moves pretty fast, but here like, hey, 15th place in India. That's a pretty cool place with 1 billion people. Then we got Croatia. We got number 12. Here, Sri Lanka. That's awesome. I was number 1 a couple days ago. Now I'm number 5, which is really nice. Oman, number 4. And then Spotify. I don't have as many rankings as you saw. I didn't have a lot of listens out in Spotify. And yes, if Spotify dropped 100 million on Joe Rogan's show, and they're doing a lot of exclusive shows, you know that they're building a lot of technology to take over the space, which to be honest is very easy for disruption because podcasting is weird. There's not a lot of metrics. There's a lot of strangeness there. So let's see what we can cover. So I see half of you are talking interviews. Some of you are talking mixed. I'm going to show one thing, which is going to be really cool. Anchor is not a place to listen to podcasts. It's a place that the podcast is hosted, So when they go to Spotify, they go to Apple, it's actually pulling the file from Anchor. You just wouldn't see Anchor, but it's hosted there, and it's called an RSS distribution, which I don't want to get technical in, but still, that's why you wouldn't see Anchor there. So with that, I'm going to go into the next topic. So let's see. Yeah, there's some approval stages. I'm not too sure about the whole approval thing when it comes to getting there. And yeah, see, JV is talking about how interviewing. So let's talk about technology for recording interviews. I think that's an important topic. I think a lot of people are going to be doing interviews. So how about I do a quick one on this, and I'm going to show you which platform I use. If I'm interviewing someone and I want to have the absolute best audio quality ever, you're going to learn about the platform you can use if you want to be a ninja. But again, you're talking about a guy who's obsessed with audio. That's why I got the microphone, the boom, and all the camera stuff. It's funny, I bought the camera to make things look good, but I don't even use the camera when it comes to podcasts, which is why I'm probably overdue to start a YouTube channel, would you say? So with that, let's talk about tech to record the interviews. This will be a short one, but I think it's going to be powerful, and I'm gonna promote one of my favorite platforms here. Let me sign out so that I'll be able to show the home screen. So I'm just I'm preparing the video, the screen share that I'll be showing the people in the course here. So I gotta log out. There we go. Squadcast wants to take my login. Oh, I hope. And Jordan Harbinger, he's a super cool dude. You definitely want to subscribe to his podcast. He interviews amazing people. Squadcast.fm. That's the punchline, guys. Squadcast.fm. But I'll be able to show people on the training. So let's show them right now. I'll record a quick episode right now. All right, let's do it. Hey everybody, this is Jason Mark Campbell. Welcome back to our podcast creation course. And today I just want to talk about one specific type of podcast and how do you record these amazing episodes. I'm talking about interviews. Now, there's a few things you can do when it comes to interviews, with one of them being recorded in the same room. If you're doing a live interview, you'll imagine a set such as Joe Rogan. He has the camera, he has these amazing microphones, all that jazz, which is really nice. But at the same time, especially in times of 2020, where a lot of us have to stay at home, a lot of the interviews you're going to want to do are going to be remote. What are the tools available, and how do you make sure you have the best audio quality while you do so? So when you're doing interviews, what happens is if you're doing it in person, then you're probably going to have a pro setup of some sort. You might be in a studio, you might be, having that kind of setup so it sounds really, really amazing. Remember, audio quality is all you got. I've once done a podcast with my friend Simon, and it was on the Nurture Life podcast. I hope I said his podcast name correctly. He's a great man. And he basically just took a microphone, he put it in between us, and we had a conversation. It turned out with pretty good sound, and that's all the people wanted. People wanted good sound that they could hear clearly, and just by having the microphone between us, we were able to record it that way. You could even say, in this case, if I had somebody sitting right next to me, we could both speak into the same microphone. Not the most professional way, but again, creating it and capturing that moment. It's all that matters. It makes me think about, those people with really, really fancy cameras that will hate on an iPhone or any kind of camera phone. And the moment captured is what counts. Yeah, if you had a great camera, you know how to use it, and you can make the quality of that shot better, is great. But if you miss an important moment to be captured because you spend too much time trying to find the perfect technology and get the perfect shot, that you've missed the opportunity completely, that's a moment you can't get. And so if you have a chance to interview somebody and you're limited in technology, you do what you can with what you have, which is where it brings me to all these virtual technologies and which one you should use. So there's a couple options. One of them is Zoom. Now, Zoom is really good because of one thing. It is the market leader when it comes to doing webinars. Everybody's familiar with Zoom. Everybody knows how to use Zoom. So if you're bringing a guest on your show and you tell them it's going to be an interview over Zoom, it becomes very simple for them to be able to log in and get the recording done. Now, one thing I'd want to note on Zoom is you definitely want to make sure that you are recording separate audio files if you want to be able to edit them properly. So on Zoom, there's a few settings you can go into to make sure that the audio is well recorded. And I do prefer to record locally than on the cloud, because when I record locally, that's when I can have the video file, the audio files, everything available. And then I can make sure that these can be published on the platform as well. So again, when you're using Zoom, you definitely find yourself having the lowest resistance to getting people to come on and be able to record with you. That being said, there are some issues with Zoom, which is if you've ever been on a Zoom call with maybe some bad internet connection, and sometimes you'll hear the voice kind of do this like, hello, it'll do like a little sound that kind of wonks the audio. That's not really cool, and it could compromise the listening experience a little bit. So if you're trying to go for better audio quality, I'm talking about like the absolute best audio quality, I do have a platform that I recommend, and it has its drawbacks as well, but here it is. It is called Squadcast. Squadcast.fm is like the perfect recording platform when it comes to podcast. So I'm going to log in here and just show you really quickly what it looks like. It's a brilliant platform. It was recommended to me by Jordan Arbinger. As you can see, he even recommends it on the login page. He's a great man, and I remember bringing him on a Zoom call, and he's like, what are you doing? We're doing a podcast. You can't do this on Zoom. It won't sound excellent. I was like, all right, princess, like where should we go then? He's like, well, I'm an investor in Squadcast, and it's pretty awesome, and you're definitely going to check it out. Wow. When you get in here, it's really amazing. You send a link to the other person, and I don't think I'll be able to make it work here as a demo because I'm actually using my recording material right now to do this video. But I'm going to show you very quickly what it looks like. It'll bring you up with the settings you want to do. You can do some echo cancellation. When you join the session, I get to share the link with the other person. Now, I'll tell you why Squadcast is really special. Is because when you use Squadcast, not only does it record all the audio files in a WAV file as opposed to MP3, and for those of you who are a bit more technical, when it's a WAV file, it's an uncompressed audio, so it sounds just absolutely crisp. But it also records locally for the person you are interviewing and for you. And so both files aren't disrupted by bad internet connections. And here's the other thing. As you're talking and recording, it is uploading this native file, this pure audio, undistorted audio, to the cloud as you're recording. So God forbid you'd have a disconnected call, something happens, you lose electricity, your laptop dies, it will continue capturing up to the moment of disconnection with the best audio quality possible. It's a really, really powerful thing. And I do have to say, the only downside of Squadcast is that it does not record video. So if it doesn't if you're not doing a video podcast, that's a bit of a drawback. I've noticed that what's fun about using Zoom is that I can sometimes use the video snippets for promotional material, which I know marketing is going to be one of the last things we cover today. But when you use Squadcast, it's going to be the best audio ever. Some of the ways I've captured the video anyways is I've used screen recording. So as I'm on a Squadcast interview, I have a MacBook, so I would use QuickTime Player. And while I'm on QuickTime Player, I would go over to screen recording, and I would record my screen as we're recording the Squadcast. And so as I record the screen, then at least I'm going to show it very quickly for people. This is exactly it. It would record the screen, and then I could trim out the videos and be able to use that as well. So that's a quick hack. If you really want to have the best audio and still have a video, you can record your screen as you do it. And then you have a little bit more editing to do in the back end, but now you find yourself with the absolute best audio experience you could possibly have. So Squadcast, powerful tool. If you just want to get started, use Zoom. It captures the video, and the audio is going to be good enough. Here's what I've noticed. Unless the person's an audio engineer, hosts their own podcast, or is absolutely obsessed with audios, they won't care as much as you do. But you're always going to be pushing the quality up, and so I want to make sure you know what is one of the best ones to capture the best audio. You can send a link to your guest. It plays right in their browser, and then you can download the file pre-mixed together, independent files, whatever's the best way you want to do your edit. That's going to be the way it works. I hope this was helpful, and if you are doing interviews, you now have two powerful ways that you can do it remotely and still be able to publish these amazing conversations with your guests. This was Jason Mark Campbell, and thanks again for tuning in. All right, everybody. Yeah, I know, Aiden, you mentioned Squadcast records video. I wish they've been talking about the fact that they're going to record video, but I think they're trying to do some super ninja stuff where the video gets kind of recorded simultaneously the same way they do the audio file, but that must be very demanding on bandwidth. So I feel like they're trying to pull off a miracle, which is causing a lot of delays. Everyone, we just recorded what, 4 or 5 episodes? Let's see what else we had to cover, because we are running out of time. It is already 10 p.m. Did you guys enjoy yourselves? I came up with this idea about 4.5 hours ago to do this video on YouTube, and I'm thinking, should we make this a thing? Should we hang out more often? This could be the Sunday Hustle podcast or the Sunday Hustle YouTube live, where I can just show you some really quick ways we can do some stuff. When we talk about promo and marketing, that is a whole different course, right? Like, that's a whole thing. So I want to talk about it. But some of the quick ways that you can promote it is, well, you can go on YouTube and do live streams. You can post video snippets from it. You can go on Instagram Live and then be able to publish it that way. Use your social media channels. Then there's Telegram. So there's a lot of different ways to market, but it's not just about podcasts. That's basically like, how do you build your personal brand about everything? So we can definitely talk more about that. I'd love to probably just spend the rest of this time to just answer a few questions. I see here we also have a few people that are in Instagram. Hey, Instagram people, glad to see you there as well. You missed out all on the fun on YouTube, but don't worry, there'll be some replays and we'll have more. Yeah, Aiden, with your encouragement, I'm feeling motivated to do more of these. This is fun. This is really fun, and I wanted to keep my promise. Although I did not show the last thing, which was about like creating the course. I'll show you guys really quickly since we're here, but I think I'll spend a bit more time on that. Here we go. I use Kajabi, and I even went to sign up to the partners program. Let's see here. Oh, am I in the right site? Should I be in the right site? Is it the partners? I don't know why it says partners there. It says my partner site. I feel like I'm in the wrong thing. If I just go to Kajabi. I don't know why it says. There we go. So I'm on Kajabi, and I was going to do this podcast course here. Really simple. Like, here I go, like mini course. I'll call this the podcast course. And any of you use Kajabi, like Kajabi, hate Kajabi? I use it. I don't use it as much. I've just been like playing with it. I feel like I'm paying a lot for it, but I should get my... And see, look how they structure it. The what, the why, and the how. So here, you can just go like, welcome aboard. And that's pretty much it to do a mini course. I'm just going to go and upload the videos that we recorded, add a bit of copy, and you guys will probably see this whole course be up. There's a lot of people that I have on a Telegram group that wanted to learn how to do some podcasting, so I'll be able to share with them this course once it's ready as well, and then we'll have a little community where we can chat, go deeper into it. But yeah, that'll be fun. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it. 20 of you are still here, which means I was able to entertain you fully for an entire hour. For those of you in India, I'm seeing that's probably going to be dinner time. For those of you in the Philippines, it's probably time to go to bed. I know I have an interview at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Actually, I have a few cool interviews on the podcast coming up. Any fans of Superhumans at work here, I'd be curious to know who are the podcast listeners here. You should definitely be subscribing to this YouTube channel. I think I'll start doing these videos here more often because it's fun, it's great content, and we get to have conversations too. But since you're here, I'm going to show you all what are some of the upcoming guests that are coming. Oh, anybody here know who Alexander Osterwalder is? For those of you who read a book called Business Model Generation or the Business Model Canvas, so I have an interview with him tomorrow. So, I have a couple of cool people. If you want, I'm going to share with you all my schedule here. So I usually have my interviews at 6 a.m. So here tomorrow morning, I have an interview with the one and only Joe Polish. Joe Polish, Genius Network, an amazing salesperson, entrepreneur, epic man all around. So he'll be interviewed tomorrow morning. Tomorrow night, I'm going to have Alexander Osterwalder, who's going to be an amazing person from Strategizer. He's amazing. And then there's a live stream happening on the Mind Valley channel. So I'll be doing a month of leadership with Mind Valley starting at 10:30 p.m. So in 30 minutes from now, tomorrow, it'll be a live stream with Mind Valley. And then on Wednesday, I have this man, Eric Qualman, who's coming on the show. And then, let's see, that's about it. So you've gotten a tip or an insight of exactly what is going on here. I see JV is downloading from Spotify, so thank you. And for those of you who are on Apple, if you've left a review already, thank you so much. Leaving a review does amazing for the rankings and gets a lot more people to discover the show. If you haven't left a review yet, I would highly appreciate it if you do leave a review. And leave some comments on this video. Share this video if it was fun. I think we're going to do this live again, I think next week, same time. I think this is a good time to make it happen. Makes me feel like I did something great on a Sunday. And I'm going to go have fun with the raw file because now all of this got recorded on YouTube. I get to download this video. I'll go cut out all the content pieces and start putting a course together. And voila, that's an hour of content generation for each and every one of you. I will wish you a very good night. I see Aiden, you're talking about, would you be up for joining our podcasters group on Telegram? Of course I would, Aiden. Send me a message on Instagram. I would love to join that group. And for all of you, thanks again for being here. I'm getting tired. I'm going to go to bed. Love you all. Take care.